2D. And the more I say Unreal 2D, the more I realize is that the actual Unreal 2D tools that we're using in this project are fairly minimal. 90% of the project here is a UI thing, which is still very, very interesting to work with. It's just not particularly like a 2D game. Well, it technically is, but you know what I mean. Which doesn't mean that I'm going to do another 2D game right after this. After we finish with this, I'm getting the hell back to my actual project. But today we're going to make some more progress, I think. Between streams, I'm drinking my liquid life, also known as an energy drink, real quick, because it's been a long week, man. I have not had great sleep, so I'm kind of just running on caffeine at this point. We're going to make something out of this, hopefully. Anyway, so between streams, and with between streams I mean literally today, I did a little bit of extra image generation with ChatGPT. So this is all AI generated. This is a border texture that I can use for my UI elements. And this is the background texture that I'll be using, which is, yes, this was one image that I cut up into 2 images. And then I also created a whole bunch of, well, I didn't create shit. I asked ChatGPT to create some stuff for me, and it did. So now we have art for, I think, a total of 18 cards. I was thinking we can have a couple of different, card sets. Well, actually 17 cards, because this is the cover image of the booster pack that we're going to be using. So I was thinking maybe 20 or so cards per set, and we're going to have 4 or 5 sets. Makes about 100 cards in the game. For something that is just a stupid little side project that I'm working on, I think that is reasonable, maybe. I don't think we should be going overboard with it, because it's going to probably not be particularly efficient. I'm probably just going to throw all these into a array or even a data table, which means that every card will probably be loaded at every time, and that means that all the images will be loaded at all times. And these images are reasonably large. They're 124 by 1 or 1024 by 1024. They are only about 700 kilobytes big. So if there's 100 of them loaded at the same time, we get 70 megabytes? No, 700 megabytes. So that's less than a gigabyte of data that is at all times being stored in memory. That's fine, right? That's okay. But if we were to scale up this game for any reason, which we're not going to do, and we suddenly make that 1,000 potential cards, suddenly we go up from about 0.7 gigs to about 7 gigs just to have all of these images in memory at all times, which is insane. So obviously this is not very scalable, but I'm not gonna scale this past 100 images. Even doing this with 100 cards is gonna be more work than it probably should be. So yeah. We're gonna do this a quick and dirty way. Which comes back to the video that I made about casting, right? Kinda. We're doing some bad practice stuff here, but we know that it's not going to end up biting us in the butt, because we're going to stay small scale, so it doesn't actually matter. And I don't really feel like async loading all these things in only when they're needed, and then I have to take care of all that. I don't want to do that, so we're not going to. Anyway, evening, back to you. AI images is nice. I have Facebook AI using my images for training. I do love creativity on AI. I mean, I'm just not going to make 100 images myself. I personally I'm not going to sell this game, right? It's just going to be up on Edge for free, so that's kind of why I'm I'm using AI. I do think that overuse of AI is starting to be, and will in the future be, a actual problem. But for things like this, I don't think we should care. Did you use Rodin? Whatever. My brain stopped working there for a second. I used ChatGPT, which is surprisingly good at generating specifically like pixel art images, right? I mean, it gets a little fucky around here, but other than that, it does a pretty good job simulating the pixels. Since it definitely does not think in pixels when it generates an image. So let's get started with making these new card assets, right? We've got these images here. I made a couple of ones, but I think I deleted them or I didn't save them or whatever. To make the thumbnail. Yeah, so I deleted everything again so that we can do it actually on stream. So we've got the dragon card, which has an image for the dragon, the name, dragon, big, fire, much, dragon, other way around, doesn't matter. We're going to just make like a bunch of these, and I'm just going to call this 1. And then we can... Like, this is the easiest way to just make a bunch of them. I think we're up to 17, so this is gonna take a hot minute. I can just copy like multiple of them at the same time, can't I? And we're up to 17! There we go! Rodents for 3D models, really good. Concerning results. I've seen a little bit of it, I think. I've seen a little bit of 3D generation anyway, and it seems like most the AI 3D generators use, what is it, point clouds or like Gaussian splattering or whatever. I'm not entirely up to date with all the techniques, which results in like very bad actual like geometry once it is converted to geometry. But in and of itself performs very well and looks very good, is what I understand from it. But that's like, that information is probably like 4 months old by now, so it probably is a little better than it used to be already. So you fix your card widget issue. Well, I didn't actually fix it. I just accepted that they weren't going to be resizable. And that really, really, really helped a lot. Anyway, so we also, I should show you, because we're talking about the card widget thing. This is going to be a chaotic stream, by the way, because I am barely alive. We also, okay, so the border is a little bit weird in the preview, admittedly, but we now also have this like nice little card border. We can actually just show you in game, right? So we've got this nice little card border. It doesn't do the highlighting, which is a little bit annoying. But we can actually, I think, if we take these images and we say that they should inherit that tint. It's not exactly what I was thinking about, but I think that will then like inherit the tint from the bottom when it gets selected, right? That's the idea, maybe. No, we'll look into that. Surely there's a better way to do that. Doesn't matter for now. I am, however, going to disable that inherits tint thing because it makes everything green. And I don't want everything to be green. So, making these card assets. I've been thinking, how am I going to do this easily? I guess I have like a folder here with all the images. I can just go one by one. And let's just give them names, right? We've got the wizard. Actually, it's called the fantasy mage. It doesn't matter. We've got the fairy. We've got the witch. We've got the knight. We've got the rogue. We've got elf female. We've got elf male. We've got a orc. We got a mermaid. A king. A queen. A squid, apparently. I don't know why. Queen. Then we got the Jack, which is very much like I was thinking Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Because a lot of this is Yu-Gi-Oh based. A lot of thinking King, Queen, and they have like a trio going on, which is just a playing card thing in general, right? King, Queen, Jack. But anyway, then we have a Paladin, which is just a knight with better branding. I've got a Hunter. I've got an Assassin, which is just a rogue with better branding. And then we've got a Keyboy. I couldn't help myself. I needed to have some guy wielding a Keyblade. I try to like insert a Keyblade related thing into most things I do when I can, because it's funny. Let's see, cards, base sets here. Like this guy, right? It's literally just a Keyblade. Thumbnails look like parameters icons from any logic. I don't know that. Let me look that up. Now I'm interested. I'm also very distractible today, more so than usual. That's gonna just Google that real quick. Okay, yeah, that has like a lot of stuff going. Okay, I'm never going to find what you mean. That's not going to help me understand what you mean. And now we give all of them their proper pictures. We're just going to take a moment. We already have the dragon card. Then we have the elf. We have two elves, a female one and a male one. And we're going to need to give all these names and descriptions, and it's going to be just, in general, a huge pain to do. You see why I think, hey, 100 cards might be more than I probably should do anyway. So making any of my code more scalable beyond 100 cards probably just literally doesn't matter. I think I called him like Knave or something like that, right? Yeah. Because this is already real tedious shit. Why did I not just do this before the stream? Because I was trying to figure out the whole UI thing before the stream, so that we wouldn't spend another like freaking 3 hours just doing UI stuff. Where's my orc? Where's my orc? Where's my orc? There's my orc. And then we do the paladin. Because I want to make a system where every like minute or 2 minutes or whatever, these values get dynamically changed, somewhat randomly, but also somewhat deterministically based on how many of one particular card you've sold. If you've sold a lot of one particular card, I want the value of that one to tank to encourage you to sell all different types of cards, and also to mimic the idea that there's now more of this card on the market, meaning that the value is going to go down, but then add in some randomness to it. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that yet, but this base value is just where they're going to start at. Is there any reason for that to exist in the data asset, right? We can just give the map default values, and then that map will get updated and updated and updated and updated, and so on and so forth. And I don't think the data asset needs to have that information at that point. So we're probably going to get rid of this. Not today, but we're probably going to get rid of this. All that to say is we're not going to give all these cards a base value right now. I lost connection to the stream, checking my phone. Yeah, I did also drop a moment ago, but it says I have 0 drop frames, so that seems to be good. What's the card game going to be like? Well, that's the thing. It's not going to be a card game. I lied to you in the thumbnail. It's a tycoon game. So the idea is that you, for the most part, you buy booster packs. And I don't really know how I'm going to determine the value of the booster packs, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the average value of a booster pack is what you're going to be a little under the average value of a booster pack is going to be able is what you're going to be able to buy it in for. You can sell the entire booster pack if you want to for a little bit of money, a little bit of pretty much guaranteed profit. But you can also open the booster pack, granting you the individual cards. And a lot of those cards are going to be under the value of the booster pack, of course. So there's a little bit of risk. But there's also going to obviously be cards that are a little bit more rare and are going to be a little bit more expensive as a result. Which will also tie into the economy system that I had. Like, the longer you don't sell a particular card, the more it's going to be worth. So when you finally pull it, it's going to be worth a lot. So rare cards actually will end up being more rare. Or more valuable as a result of that system. That's the basic idea anyway. I don't know if it's going to work very well. This is supposed to be a small side project, so I don't want to like overscope it too badly. But we'll see. I was doing the naming for these things. So we've got Dragon. This is the Asin. He gone stab ya. None of these descriptions are going to be particularly serious. Elf female. Pointy ears. That's probably racist in some way. Elf male. Pointy arrow. I just closed one of my data assets. Fairy. Fairy. I'm just going to say fairy again. We'll get back to these at some point, or maybe we won't. Hunter. He hiding. Just want to make sure that they all have like their own text. So that I can see whether or not everything displays properly. Of all... Is it Jack of all trades or Jack of all trades? It's trades, right? As in... Or is it... I've never actually bothered to check. Jack of all trades. Trades. Which one is it? It's trades. Okay, so I'm not going crazy. Good. Trades. Yeah, okay, good. Maybe like an upgradable deck, character cards, equipment cards, money, gold cards, buying assets, etc. You can go around trying to buffing your own cards. Yeah, if this was actually a card game, and maybe at some point I'll like use this as the basis to like actually make a card game of as like a side project in like a year. That'll be fun. But for now, it's just going to be the buying or selling things. So yeah. Needs roguelike and Souls-like mechanics. And then also be turned into an MMO. That's just every modern fucking game, isn't it? It's an infinitely replayable roguelike MMO. That's just every modern game ever. I agree. Let's do that. Key boy? He thinks it's a weapon. Fucking Sora, what the hell's up with you? King? He rich. Knight. Big sword. Mermaid. Demonetized. I was so tempted to also generate a mermaid that was bottom half person and top half fish. It was like, let's not do that. Like, for the meme, right? Orc. Big club. Puny human. This is paladin. Wait, did we already... Why does this say dragon? Did I... Oh, paladin. I named the assets, not the actual names. Glowy sword. Am I not taking this seriously? You don't say. I think this is the queen. She rich too. This is the rogue. watch your wallets. Then we have the witch. I don't know what to tell you about a witch. She cooking something. This is the mage. Sparkly. And finally we have the fairy that just says fairy. Okay, I think all assets now have their own unique texts. We don't have to bother with that anymore. I made a triple threat Final Fantasy card game. Like, I always wanted to do something like that as well, because that seems like it's always been a fun game. It's very basic rules. As a matter of fact, I might copy that as one of the genre meshes in my game. Like, every dungeon is going to have like a genre mesh room in which you play a game of a totally different genre to unlock one of the keys to the boss door, right? I might just take triple threats as one of those genre meshes, because it's like, it's not a, like, they don't have a copyright or anything or like a trademark on the rule set, right? Probably a good thing to check up on, but I'm pretty sure they don't, because Evoland also used the exact same rule set. Left side fish, right side person. Now that is the kind of chaotic energy that I'm looking for. That would be insane. Can you imagine? Well, first and foremost, what that would look like, but can you imagine being that person, fish, mermaid thing? Because if you're top half fish, bottom half person, you are just, well, doomed for failure, because you can't swim, but you need to be underwater to breathe, right? So if you're bottom half fish, top half person, that's probably the best combination of them. But if you're left half fish, half or right half person, your brain's also split in two. So you've got half a fish brain and half a person brain. You can't copyright game mechanics. Yeah, definitely can trademark them. Have you ever heard about, I think it was Konami? Atari. Probably Atari, actually. Trademarking minigames and loading screens. It's the reason you don't see minigames and loading screens anymore. Because they have a trademark on it. You very much can. I think it's bullshit that you can. Don't get me wrong. But there is precedent for it, sadly. Now, not a lot. But you can trademark things a lot. You can trademark game design. Yeah, you can trademark a lot of weird shit. I mean, when I think it was when Tears of the Kingdom came out. Like, Nintendo filed for, I think, like 30 something trademarks about that game. One of which was just the concept of parenting an object, more or less. Like, it was a very roundabout way of explaining it, but they explained, like, yeah, this object is standing on this other object and they, like, have the same velocity. Like, my dude, that's just parenting. You didn't invent that. That's existed for decades. So yeah, now large gaming corporations try to. You can't copyright them. That's right, because a copyright is a specific work, right? So a trademark is more of a concept, and a copyright is for like a product. So you can't copyright them because it's a concept, like a game design ID is a concept, but you can still very much trademark them, or at least you can try to. A lot of the time you just don't get it, but sometimes you do, and it fucks the gaming industry. Loading screen game patent expired, by the way. That's good, because I maintain that was bullshit from the start. Fish brain aside, human Yeah. Didn't PUBG lose about the minigames on loading screens? They might have. I don't know. I don't care about PUBG. Also, good to see you. First time seeing you live. If I may ask, what are you making within this card game? So yeah, card game is a kind of a bad way to explain it, but like there's not a lot of room in thumbnail for text. So what this is it is a oh, it's unfinished in this inventory screen. That's my bad. What this is a tycoon game. So the idea is that you like I have an inventory screen working now. That's kind of all that I have. I have a lot of errors, and you're going to be able to buy and sell cards and stuff like that and whatever. You'll probably figure it out at some point. And anybody watching this after the fact has already heard me explain it. So I'm trying to not repeat myself too much. I don't know if we want to have this value in here anyway. Okay, what we're going to do now, we have all those cards, and I can go into my player and just real quick for testing purposes. Well, actually, no. Let's just say, hey, inventory, empty by default. There we go. I'm going to make a separate new actor. And what that new actor is going to do is it's going to generate random cards every so often. Okay, let me think. Let me think real quick. Yeah, okay, so what we're going to do, I think, is... the thing that I was thinking about is, do I want to make that a child of the chest, right? So does the chest have anything in particular that we want to... We've got the open inventory, but we're going to need to implement a different thing for that. Anyway, we've got enable input, and that's kind of everything there is to it. And aside from that, it has a sprite and inventory. I guess we might as well make it a child of chest, which means that we can't make it a C++ class, but that's fine. So we make this BP like PC, right? That's how you're going to be buying the cards. For now, it's just going to look like a chest, but we're going to tint this one like magenta, just so that I can easily see that this is different. And from there, we can just copy the parent begin player so we have inputs on it. I don't think any of this matters that much, to be honest with you. So something like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! The game itself doesn't actually exist. Like, there's no actual card game to go with it. At least not right now. Maybe in the future I will add something like that in. But for right now, it's just running a card shop, essentially, for a card game that doesn't exist. And that sounds really bad when you say it like that. And I hope it's actually going to be like fun. It's mostly a practice project to just try out 2D stuff in Unreal in like a small scale. So the inventory here, what are we going to do with that? So what we want to do here is we want to make a new function, generate, probably misspelled that, random inventory. Eventually this is going to be changed to being booster packs that you can buy instead of cards, but for now we're just going to go with cards, and we might end up doing the booster pack thing today as well. Probably the next logical thing to do, to be honest with you. So we get our inventory components and we clear. We get the cards array that we have on it and we clear it. Then we do a for loop. Not a for each loop, just a normal ass for loop. Just a basic thing. And let's say we go through like 10 iterations, generating 10 cards. Now we need to have a way to get a random card out of a certain folder. Like a certain subsection, right? It's a lot of jankiness to the game copyright, patent law. Yeah. I mean, copyright law in general is kind of janky. But like the games industry is such a relatively new industry still that it's really hard to say what can and cannot be copyrighted or trademarked and stuff like that. So you're using paper ZD. For parts of it, mostly, like everything I've been doing is actually just paper 2D. Except for the like animation blueprint for my character. That is paper ZD. Which is the most important thing paper ZD offers, I believe. So, fair. Okay, we want to get our inventory cards again, and we want to add something to it. So we want to add... no, do we? Actually, that's a good point. I want to change the card system to where cards can stack, right? I wanted to do that. So maybe we should do that first. And then we need to have... Yeah, the inventory component then gets a function add card where it just adds a card to... yeah, I think that's the way we're gonna do it. So, okay, let's go into C++. We've got the card assets here. We were going to, we have the card, card slot here. The card asset itself is going to lose the base value. We're going to get rid of that. And then we have the card slot that is going to gain a U property. Let's make this edit. Anywhere blueprint read write, that makes sense to me. And then that's an int 32 for card count. Might as well make that a uint, I suppose, right? Can you not expose a uint? What? What actually is the problem here? Let's just make it a normal int32, that's fine. I don't care. So now we have a card count. Ooh, but that's gonna be... Ooh, that's gonna be a thing. Maybe? Huh. Okay, I didn't really think this through too much. They can't ban you from making similar stuff. They can try and sue you, and they have more money than I do, so they just win. That's kind of how that works, sadly. Is that Visual Studio? This is Rider. But yeah, you can't trademark something that is too general. So that is why, for instance, Nintendo, that trademark that they tried to file, which is effectively just, again, object parenting, they didn't get that because obviously that's like way too general. So whatever. And even if they did get it, like if they try to enforce it, I'm sure that when it actually gets to court, that wouldn't hold up. Because there's every chance that at some patent office somewhere, some idiot just doesn't know what's going on and grants it, right? So I'm sure that once this actually gets tested, it would not hold up. But I'm not going to be the one to test that theory out. That's all I'm saying. Now, how are we going to do this? Because if we... I was kind of thinking we can just try to find the exact matching... Yeah, okay. We've got a card slot, and I've got an idea. The card count is actually not going to be on the card slot. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the inventory component, and we're going to change this from a T array to a, I guess it's called a T map. Yeah. And that will be, how do we declare that? Just in 32? So the card slot itself is going to only ever care about the asset and the rarity. And then the map is going to be taking care of how many of them there are. Does that make sense? It better make sense, because I think that's the easiest, most straightforward way to do this. Law system in some countries is garbage. Yeah. You can also add a U function, add card to array in the inventory component. Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. The inventory component is going to need to have a function to add a card. That's what we're going to be doing right now. But for that, we first need to check, like, if we can add something to a pre-existing slot. We try to find whether or not like this key already exists. And if so, we just increment its value by 1. If not, we make a new entry. So I guess that's the next thing we do, right? So we make a probably public. Let's do public. U function blueprint callable blueprintable. I still don't know what blueprintable is. I want blueprint callable. And that will be a void add card. You are correct. Card assets and rarity. But if we're going to do it that way, we just want to add a U card. So that's not a U, right? Because that is a F, because it's a struct. F card slots. Card to add. So this will now quick definition Alt F12. That's fantastic. Oh, that's not, that doesn't generate a definition. Of course it doesn't. I'm still trying to get used to writer, as you can clearly see. Oh, Alt inserts? What key is insert? I don't think I have it. Oh, I do. Generate definitions. There we go. Trying to get used to shortcuts for it. So, the card to add, if we have in our cards dot find our card to add, right? That should return a bool. I think. No, it doesn't. So, do we have contains or something like that? Contains, there we go. So we first check whether or not the card to add is already contained in there. I don't like those abbreviated if statements. So we're going to, and this returns a bool, right? Inline bool, yes. Then we get cards dot find card to add. Can we just plus that? We might be able to. I don't think so. The value, or how do we get the value out of this? It's been a while. Or does that just get me the variable? Oh, that just gets me the value, right? So I can just say int amount equals wait, what? Let's see. Does anybody have any ideas? Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be hard to argue that just because your mechanics function somewhat similarly to something that is trademarked, that you're like infringing on that trademark. Which that's not even what like trademark is supposed to be used for anyway. Like trademark is its original intention is to prevent customer confusion, and that's like definitely not the case if you just have similar mechanics. Okay, but now what can I do with this, right? Because this is like find card and increment count. What does ChatGPT? Oh, of course, because it returns a pointer to it, not the value. It's that makes so much fucking more sense. So then dereference counts is equal to dereference count plus 1. Okay, that is kind of nutty. But can't I just then dereference count plus plus? Surely that should work as well, right? Why is this grey? Oh. Okay, now we do need to do it like this. Use int32. I think I was using int32, but the issue is that this returns a pointer to the integer in here. So I was trying to make a normal int32. It doesn't like that because this returns a pointer to a existing integer. So that's the issue. I remember there being like a tmaps documentation on the Unreal website. It has some C++ examples. I'm not gonna get my hopes up for that being any help at all. I have very rarely visited the Unreal docs and found them helpful. Because usually it's just literally, well, maybe I can open it like this. Usually it's literally just a comment in these files, copy pasted into a website. But if it has examples, that is maybe literally the best. The best page on their website. And this is just like otherwise add a new card with a value of 1. So that should really be all there is to it. Now, we also want to make a U function that is blueprint callable for remove cards. What did I say? Alt insert, right? And then definition. There we go. And this, again, we want to first check whether or not we have the card in there in general. Maybe it is useful to make this a bool function, actually. Like, let's make this a bool. Just to know whether or not the card was in there to begin with. A card to remove. Makes sense. So if it contains that, we get the value. And then we do a nested if statement here. If that dereference count is greater than 1, we subtract 1. So it becomes 1, else we remove. And if it doesn't exist, we return false. And in either case here, we return true. So now we can add and remove cards easily. I don't mean the C++ API, there's a tmaps documentation in Unreal. Yeah, tmap is a Unreal specific thing, so right? So I wouldn't imagine that being in the C++ API documentation. But my point is that the Unreal documentation in general. I might have said the C++ documentation. Again, my mind is fried. Why does it think that redundant else keyword? Wait, can you? I don't like that one bit. Does that work? If you just like put in this after an if statement, does it just like implicitly function as an else? I don't like that. I don't want to do that. We're going to stick with the else. I mean, this one doesn't seem redundant, so why? Oh, because if this is true, we return anyway, right? Yeah, no, okay. So if this is true, we return anyway. And this code never runs. So otherwise we return false. I still like the else better. I don't think that this has like any computational stuff, but this communicates what this does a little bit better. So I'm going to keep it. I think that's the most important part. So let's make sure that everything is saved in Unreal. Let's get rid of this as well, and we will actually also just add a U function to clear inventory. U function blueprint callable void clear inventory. Insert enter, and that is literally just cards. Does it have a dot clear? Dot empty. There we go. Does that empty it, or does that return whether or not it is empty, actually? This method leaves space allocated for expected number of elements added. Oh, that's actually quite nice. We're not going to bother with that. Yeah, let's just do it like this. What are you complaining about? Your function clear inventory is not implemented. You wanna bet that it is. Let's try to rebuild. Did you ever test meta is a compact name at card? Love how a compact node looks in Blueprint. I've never tried use. Oh, it has an issue. It has an issue. It's one of those makefile things again. What the actual hell? Sometimes just kind of does that. No tile. I never tried it. I suppose the first thing that comes to mind is I would really rather my functions in Blueprint have the same name as they do in C++ for debugging purposes, so that I can see what is what. But I guess you can just double click on a Blueprint node and it opens up the C++ class anyway, so it doesn't matter. What the actual fuck is going wrong here? So, I don't know, man. Ryder seems to really fuck with this a lot, and I think the way to fix it is the same thing that fixes like 90% of issues in VS Code, but still, like opening this in Explorer and just saying, "Hey, generate Visual Studio project files." Maybe not even Visual Studio. It's still Visual Studio project files. Rather just hooks into that, I suppose. Then. That generally fixes it, I believe. But I didn't make any new classes. So that's kind of weird. Not to change the title, you can also do that, but it also changes the look of the node itself. Does it change? What? How? Oh, it's one of those things where you can like expand or make them smaller again for like if you have a lot of. It still has this issue. Why? If you have a lot of parameters, that's what that's for, right? Yeah. So what the actual fuck is the problem? test it. I'll do it in a moment. I'll also just Google Unreal Compact Node. Unreal Compact Node. Oh, it's one of those things. Oh, that also works for execution nodes. I thought that was only going to work for pure nodes, but execution nodes also can do that. Huh. What's the upside of that? Like, what's the use? It looks neat. Like, for pure nodes, I get it a little bit more. It's still being a bitch, isn't it? Why? Why does Microsoft not make file targets? Gonna be real with you all. I'm loving Rider, but I'm not loving the fact that it keeps doing this shit. Might not be entirely to do with Rider though. Map.h. Okay, it's got something to do with the map. No overload function found with these argument types. So but where is that? Is it the empty? I feel like it's the empty that's not working. Because all this seems pretty self-explanatory. Nope, that's definitely not the issue. Then what is? G-type key value, allow duplicate keys. Do I need to supply allow duplicate keys as a value as well? Doesn't that have a... I guess it just doesn't have an overload for that as a default. So do I put in false here as well? Ah, it doesn't like that. Try add a default value, but this is a map. That's not how maps work. Get hash type doesn't take a fcard slot. Okay, that could be a problem. How do we... At least I've got something to look into right now. Unreal tmap with custom structs. Because that's the issue, right? Tmap with struct. There's somebody else exactly with this problem. I'm also having trouble following the documentation page. Seem to target more advanced users. This require base function key. Here's a short sample of my use struct uses a key in tmap. So use struct, we have pull operator, my struct other, return. Okay, so there's a little bit of code here that I need to implement, even though I don't fully follow what it's saying, which is always a tricky thing. So let's see if anybody else here has a way to explain this. Minimal declaration, that is what I want. Struct is extending for hashing. That's what we need to do. That's a lot of code. Holy shit. Well, that's not that much, but... so it needs a couple of functions in the struct, or functions, or whatever these would be. So that would be bool equal. Is that true? Is that what that needs to return? Nope. Bool operator equal all that stuff. Oh, and then we... Okay, so this is a function that lets you compare the contents of two structs, I guess, is what this is. So we return... I'm just copying what this says. I'll look into what it actually means later because I can't be bothered right now. Do I need to define this equals thing somewhere else? Does anybody else have a better idea? Allow duplicate keys thingy. That's not the issue. I don't think. I think they're right because other people are having this exact same issue like very commonly. So I need to make this struct hashable. But this thing, so the code we have here that I'm looking at, right? It has this return equals other. I am like not 100% sure what most of this does. The struct is called hash me if you can. So that has the string in it. Which I suppose is just a default value for a constructor. I don't think this is necessary either. But it tries to use this equals function, which on my end just doesn't exist. And he doesn't define it anywhere either. So, oh, hold on. No, he does. Literally under there. I'm just blind. Equals... return... I'm just going to trust at this point that Copilot is trained on this exact same post and just copying over everything from that. So yeah, I think what this does is it will let you like supply in another one of these structs, and then it's going to return whether that card asset from this struct is equal to the other card asset and the rarity is also equal to the other rarity. So only if they match exactly will this return true. And then this bool operator is, I think, just what gets called when the map wants to access it, which then accesses this function for it. And everything above that, we're just going to pretend like it's not necessary until we crash again. So I think we fixed it now. So I think I understand what this does. I just don't fully understand like the entire syntax behind like operator equal equal. Okay, we did not in fact fix it. So maybe we do need to have that constructor as well. For like the default values. Let's see if Copilot gives me any other IDs. They initialize it here outside of the brackets. That's weird. Might be a reason for that. We might also just abandon for now the idea of having that as a map and a struct and whatever, because this is likely going to just waste a little bit of time. And if I'm being 100% honest, my brain is just not in a position to be thinking very thoroughly about this stuff. It creates a hash for the hash table. That makes sense. So I'm going to do one more like F card slots. There, and I'm just going to hope that he also does the one for the other. Like if we do another F card slots. I effectively now have the entire thing. Oh, hold on. I forgot something else. So I don't think maybe we need this. We might not need any of that, to be honest with you. So we're just going to cut that out for the time being, because what he does as well afterwards is he sets up the hashing. So we have if and a else in there as well. That is UE build debug uint 32 get type hash it's not the same thing what he does. Hold on. So this is just to make it optimized by inlining and shipping build for developments, for development builds. I'm going to just copy all that over. Never mind. I was going to say I'm just going to change the thing about that, but I really don't want to mess with it at the moment. So force inline uint 32 get hash type. So this other one here didn't have that definition. It just said this. Another thing that I don't fully understand why and how it works, but sure. uint 32 hash is like it also generated different code. Hold on. This is something that I probably should be looking more into to learn how this works a little bit better. I have decided that I actually don't give a shit. And we're going to do this a little bit differently. Yeah, no, this is too roundabout. This is going to cause other issues at some point. I am like 100% sure. So we're going to not do it this way. Use to erase with same index. That's not quite what I'm going to do. I'm just going to... I'm just going to make it one array of structs, which has the like amount value in it as well. And instead of making making functionality in the struct itself that allows you to like compare the two structs to each other and hash it and stuff like that, because I can't quite like wrap my head around that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make some functions that take in two inventory or card slots and just compare the first two like data entries instead, and ignore and just return a bool based on whether or not those are the same. We're just going to make our own implementation of that instead of using a map, and that will save me a lot of headache. So that's the way we're going to be doing it, which means that this actually, funnily enough, we do get the card count back in there. And this will no longer be a F map. This is going to go back to, or a T map. This is going to go back to a T array, and everybody can go fuck themselves. Otherwise, I will lose my mind. By the way, can you point out any advantages of starting building projects in C++ versus pure blueprints? Mostly speed. It's much faster to type something than it is to click and drag something. And it will definitely teach you a like more fundamental and better understanding of a lot of the engine things. Specifically to do with like references and pointers and stuff like that. Like if you're just used to working in Blueprint, you can kind of just take all that for granted, and as such develop misunderstandings, which is where like a lot of the casting misunderstandings come from. Whereas in C++, you start to like actually learn what all that stuff, like how that actually works a little bit more under the hood. And still, Unreal takes care of a lot of the C++y stuff for you. Like all the memory management and stuff that you usually do with C++, Unreal takes care of for you. Unless you're doing like really weird stuff. So it's not that bad, but it does force you to think a little bit more about what you're doing. Because like if I want to cast to something, I need to physically add like one of these hashtag includes in the top, creating that hard reference, instead of just having a little bit of entry, just adding like a casting or adding like a variable type, which will create that hard reference. So you're just a little bit more conscious about all the things that you're doing. Now, let's take a look at the inventory component and create a U function that is blueprint callable. Bool compare card slots. Card slot A and card slot B. There we go. I'm also... plugins like Copilot will just code half of the game for you. Not quite, but still quite nice. So we just get a bool is card equal, and we make a bool is rarity equal, and then we just put in an if. we don't put in if, we put in is card equals. Okay, so here you have a good example, right? Cannot resolve card because this thing doesn't have, like, this is the inventory component. The inventory component doesn't know what a card is. So we need to add the hashtag include for card asset so that it can access the information that exists in here. And now it will understand what a card is, hopefully. Card assets. Still, if I then remove that include just for demonstrational purposes, it will start screaming at me again. It should. It did not. That's kind of weird. Does inventory component itself already have? Oh, inventory component, the header file already has the card asset. So if I remove this, it will start screaming at me because it suddenly doesn't know what a card asset is. Do you sometimes get help from ChatGPT? Oh yeah, definitely. So rarity. What did we call that? We called that card rarity. And then we just put an if statement here. If is card equal and is rarity equal, we return true. If either one of those is not true, we return false. So now we have a function that compares card slots. We don't need any maps. We don't need to do any hashing. We just write it ourselves. Fuck it. That speed stuff is what's confusing to me. C++ faster than blueprints. I get it. Was faster during development, or the game is built and packaged. It's no. When a game is built and packaged, your blueprint gets translated into C++ and it just gets compiled as C++. It doesn't have any performance benefits. It's just faster to write text than it is to add nodes and connect them to each other. That's the only difference. I also don't know what this green squiggle means. Member function can be made static. I fully believe you. I also don't think I care. So cards.empty will become cards.clear, I think, right? No, the C++ version of that still is empty. Okay. Now we try to. Okay, we got to rewrite this function, and we got to rewrite this function as well because that doesn't work that way anymore. We try to. Okay, so we do a for each loop here. So for f card slots in cards, we compare the slots to the card to add. If that is true, we add to its card counts and we return. That made that function a lot easier. Hold on. Did we remove any other functionality from that? Because it feels like we're missing out on something now. Yeah, so if it doesn't... Okay. Yeah, I did forget something. So if it doesn't already exist... we then, after the for loop, we add that card. Okay, hold on. Okay. This is actually a little bit more troublesome than I thought. So we want to add card. The add card function needs to have a amount to add as well. which actually already exists in the card slots. So instead of doing card counts plus plus, we plus equals it by our card to add card counts. Yes. Okay. That is a little better. Let's see. GPT is helpful for C++, at least for me. Fuck the team apps. Yeah, I don't like the team apps. Thank I needed that. I got so many people who told me that C++ has performance benefits, driving me nuts. It doesn't. It will probably force you to write better code because you need to understand coding and the engine a little bit better, which will probably result in you starting to write better and more performant code. But there's nothing inherent to C++ versus Blueprint that makes it more performant. It's just not true what he's saying. I don't know if you're talking about me, but I think what I'm saying is true. Blueprint scripts run in a runtime isn't just C++. In the editor, that is true. Once you package and build a game, it gets compiled down to C++ and through that into machine code. So yeah, now in the editor, that is something that it does run in its own runtime because it's like it has like its own like scripting language, effectively. But it does get translated into C++ once you compile it into an executable game. Like I am 99% sure about that because you can literally like there is literally plugins. I think Unreal like has a native plugin for it as well that show you the C++ class that reflects your Blueprint class. When you build a game, Unreal writes or creates that C++ class to build it with. In a release or still BP runtime. I think you're wrong. If you have anything to support that still is the case. I know it used to be the case in like Unreal 4. Whatever. But I'm fairly certain that Unreal 5 translates Blueprint directly into C++. I'm Googling it now, because if I'm wrong, that is important to know. But Unreal 5 Blueprint runtime packaged game, let's say. Blueprint in a packaged game. When it comes to that's not what I'm asking about. Okay, immediately good to know. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I'm fairly certain that I'm not. Some things can be nativized, but GPT, yeah, better result, I guess. I'm not going to trust ChatGPT with that. Some things can be nativized, but most can't. No, it doesn't. I mean, the idea that some things just cannot be nativized, like that it doesn't do it, that would be one thing. But again, there's literally plugins that show you the reflected C++ class to a Blueprint class as you work in a Blueprint class. So the idea that it cannot do that when it builds is kind of insane to me. Like, that doesn't seem right. It's also not really giving me any Google results. Unreal 5 BP versus C++ packaged game. Documentation has something about it, I think. Balancing blueprints in C++. Let's see. This is the Unreal 427. Documentation still, but many systems have small micro languages, C++ class config files, C++ versus blueprint, C++ class advantages, converting from blueprint to C++. Since blueprint is easier to create and iterate on, it's common to build prototypes and then move to C++. You generally want to do this when you're at a refactoring point, when you've proven the base functionality. Okay, so this just says this class redirection. That's not whatever. One of the primary reasons for C++ over blueprints is performance. However, in many cases, blueprint performance is not a problem in practice. I mean, you're the developer, so that's very easy to say. Broadly, the main difference is executing each individual node in the blueprint is slower than executing a line of code in C++, but once the execution is inside on the node, it's just as fast as being called from C++. For example, if a blueprint class has a few cheap top-level nodes that call expensive physics trace calculation. Okay, so you might be right. Again, I am fairly certain that I've seen it said otherwise, but like at least as recently as 4.27, which still leaves room for Unreal 5 to have changed things about that, but significantly less likely. But at least as recent as 4.27, the documentation itself doesn't mention any nativization going on packaging. I was fairly certain that it did. Let's Google real quick nativization or whatever. How to nativization blueprint Unreal Engine 5. Blueprint nativization is gone in Unreal 5. That does imply that it just does do that. I'm kind of upset that we don't have another solution. It was extremely helpful, but I guess too many people just complained that it doesn't work good for me. Okay. They did make a statement. Did they make any statement? No, they did not. Blueprint nativization will not exist in. Okay. Yes, in general, it's a good idea to work close with Epic as possible. Yeah, fucking. Okay, we've spent way too much time on this. You're right. It seems. What's insane is thinking that a scripting runtime will be running on native speed. I mean, at that point, you're just arguing something that I didn't say, though. I didn't say that it would run that scripting runtime at native speed. I said that it nativizes it on build time, which apparently it doesn't do. But like you're arguing at a point that I didn't make. So, I don't know, man. Let's get back to this. Remove card is the next one. Okay, that one is a little more tricky. Yeah, this was a lot easier when it was a map. I guess we need to remove these cards one at a time. It's kind of annoying. I mean, if you're going to argue about what I did and didn't say, I'm just going to move on because I literally said in editor it will run slower, but once it's built it won't. So like if you're looking for an argument, like go look somewhere else. If you're looking to like improve everybody's understanding here, like I make mistakes too, that's fine. If you're looking to argue, this is not the place, man. Yeah, I'm not going to change back to team apps because that was like I need a little bit more time to read up on how to actually set that up. Unless I just do it in Blueprint, because Blueprint will probably take care of that for me. I guess what we just do is we get this card to remove and we just assume, like, no, let's not do it that way. The way we're going to do this is we do this as a, and this is messy, but we do this as a double input, right? So we have our you are looking for an argument. That is the thing, and you are now simply blocked. If you're looking for an argument, I'm not gonna like interact with you that much. Like I make a mistake, I make mistakes. Yes, I own up to it. If you're gonna argue with me about a point that I didn't make, you can go fuck off. It's just that simple. Anyway, so what we're gonna do now that that idiot is gone, we just take in a U card asset, which will be the card asset, and we'll take in a card rarity. Holy fuck. Let's check. We don't want to, do we want to? Let's just remove them one at a time. That seems most reasonable. And we're going to redo this real quick because I'm not entirely confident that it generated the proper code and it's going to be easier if we... Okay, so if for card slot and cards, we check if card asset is equal to card asset and rarity is equal to rarity. If slot is greater than 1, yes, that is exactly what it needs to do. Why does this now, bitch? Oh, because I changed the parameters. Where does that function exist? It's remove card, that's where it is. Oh, why do you complain now? Why does this even? What? What's the issue with checking if these two assets are the same? Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be a pointer. That's my bad. See? We can figure this out. Now it all works. So we've got compare card slots. That's great. We've got clear inventory. That's the fucking easiest thing ever. Card count minus never gets used. Yes, it does. If we put in a slot with a card count of 1 or greater than 1, we subtract from it. So, like, Ryder, I'm very glad that you're intelligent, but sometimes you're just, like, not that intelligent. Just like me. Aggressive audience today. It's not that bad. Like, there's the one guy that was trying to just look for an argument, which is, like, fine, but, like, don't do that here. Like, I don't mind arguing with people. That's not a big deal. As long as that argument is in the interest of, like, everybody arguing in good faith and, like, learning and growing together instead of being in bad faith and just wanting to be right. Like, I have very little patience for that latter kind of argument, especially today. So, eh. I think we should just build. Like, with that entire attention about building and C++, like, I did learn a thing out of that thing, right? I did learn that my misconception of Unreal nativizing all your code, it still's bitching at me. Why? Wait, what? Binary note operator found, which takes in left hand. Something here is const for some reason. What? It's in array.h, so it's got something to do with array. Can I, like, somewhere in here we have like an output log that is supposed to give us more information, right? Like terminal? Yeah, that's definitely not it. This is an Unreal. We're gonna get back into the actual engine in a moment. Once I figure out what the actual hell is going wrong. Let's see. Okay, we have the same problem. Binary equal operator not found, which takes in the left hand operand of const f card slots. In array.h, which is remove all. So what does that take in? An item. Oh, it takes an item reference. Other side. Takes in an item reference, right? That's it? No? Other side? That should be the memory address off. Thanks, Copilot. You've been a real fucking help. Is it to do with the compare card slots function? I'm not using that in here. Like it's saying, you guys probably can't read. Hold on, zoom it. Yeah, now you can probably read it a little bit better. So it says binary equal no operation found, which takes on the left hand operation of f card. You would think that this is about comparing. I'm very sorry if anyone is getting motion sick over this. You would think that this is about comparing the things, but then it says that the issue lies in array.h. And when I double click this, it takes me to the size type remove. And then it takes in a const element type reference item. And it removes that item. So something to do with this, but I like just gonna fucking copy this over. Can I copy? Let's Google this. Unreal array. The long line of time thing about reply. You should play with variations of declaring variables in different forms. Okay, so that is indeed potentially the way to do it. So instead of having this card slots, we maybe want to do this as a card slots pointer. Have card slots in does that work? Okay, that's kind of an issue, isn't it? How are we going to do that? I guess what I can do here, I don't think that this is gonna work though, is the thing. Like if we make a pointer and we do that, and we yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Okay, Unreal C++ array dot remove binary equal error. You need to define operator equal in your virtual item class. Fucking hell. Is that because it's still in there? No, it's because it's not. Okay, so an array. Okay, so this is still an issue. How does the array know if two virtual items objects are in fact the same? So we kind of run into the same issue, except that we're not hashing it because it's not a hash map. I could have sworn I did this before, but apparently not. I needed to overload the equal operator. Oh, that's what. Okay, so I understand. Finally, I understand what this all is about now. Okay. So what this is, I just need to figure out like how to write this. So what we're doing here is when you write this, like equal, or operator equal rather, you're overwriting what this does. So you're telling it when I'm comparing these two card slots. So it was to do with compare card slot, probably. No, because we're not comparing it. Oh, that means that we can make this a whole bunch fucking easier, isn't it? Because we're doing that in here now. Okay, I'm starting to get this. I'm learning live on stream. Do this reference instead of a pointer. Yeah, that's what I tried to do, but it also didn't work. So yeah, let me check out like if I card slot like other, we check effectively just if, like, can we just let Copilot take care of this, because I want to check. So return card assets equals card asset other, rarity, and that's it, right? So now we have a way to compare these structs. It's kind of nice that it does that way. I'm learning here. So effectively, we just have this as a functionality of the struct itself now. So instead of using compare slots, what we can do is we literally just can now say if our current slot equals our card to add, this will work now because we override the equals operator. Which is apparently also necessary to be able to remove things, because I guess it needs to be able to check whether something is equal or whatever. I'm not entirely sure why it needs that. But we can entirely get rid of this function now. Which is nice, because that was a little bit all over the place. Just like this stream. Again, it's a bit messy today. I hope everybody's enjoying it. Maybe the variable hasn't been set. That would be an error that you would run into like on runtime. This is like a compile error, so that's probably not it. Let's see. It's probably gonna still error me out somewhere, I imagine. But presumably it'll be a different error this time. It's taking longer. I think it's building. It built! That was the solution. Holy hell. Okay. Okay, today I learned how to override the operator inside of a struct, and that you need to do that in the first place. Which, again, it's one of those things that you just don't think about until you run into it, right? So, it makes full sense that you would need to tell a struct how it should be compared to another version of itself. Because that could have so many implications. And right now... Oh, hold on, but that makes some of our other code probably a lot easier to do as well, right? Because now, if I try to find this struct, it's going to find it only based on... Oh, but that's really good. Because find probably also only like uses the like bool operator that we have here, right? I have to imagine. So find will just ignore this now, I think. Maybe. I'm not going to test it. We have a function here. Slot cards. Yeah, I think we could do that though. Because right here we're checking these two things separately, first and foremost. So we can stat check just if our, for remove as well, if our slots is just equal to our... Oh, and now we can change this back. Okay, we're changing things back a little bit. But we'll get there. Card to remove. So we can just check whether or not that's equal to card to remove. Because again, it's ignoring the card counts. But we can still access the card count, so that's nice. Yeah. So we don't need to for loop over this anymore either, I don't think. So yes, I am actually now just straight up changing my code into what I think it should be. But we can see a if... like if we try cards.find, we can try to find the card to add if it already exists. And that will return that card slot. So found slots. Probably returns a pointer, right? No. Oh, it just returns it as a UN32. Other ID, so we can get contains. At this point, I'm also just kind of doing this to make sure that I understand what I just like figured out properly. So we'll call this slots equals card find. Yeah, so that needs to be this. This will return like a UN32 pointer at least, right? So if I just try to like cast that. C star cast instead of C++, I don't care. Oh, it just finds the... I keep forgetting that. That's annoying. It just finds the index. You're right. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's why it returns a UN32. UN32. Index equals card to find. And we return early. Why does remove card start bitching suddenly? I think that's just a false positive, to be honest with you, or a false negative, I guess. Let's try to build. That's the meta thing. I keep forgetting. I do want to test it, but it's... again, my brain's just not braining today fully. Which is... Fuck me! Okay. Something didn't go particularly correct here. Just don't know what. Cannot be used for its initialization. But remove card? I'm an idiot. Is anybody in the chat already given the answer? No. Guys, I don't think that the dude who was just like being a bit of a dick. I don't really think he was a troll. I think he was just being a bit of a dick. And like I get where they were coming from, right? Because it's the exact reason that I made that other video. Is people spreading wrong information. Is kind of annoying and kind of bothersome, especially when they have a platform. Not that there's like there's 12 people watching this. I'm not doing that much harm when I'm saying something wrong, but still, I get where they're coming from. And again, I don't mind arguing. I don't mind being proven wrong. I don't mind it if people are like, "Hey, what you're saying isn't true." But I have very little patience for people misrepresenting my arguments on purpose. And at that point, I don't think that's trolling. I think that is literally just being, well, like an internet crybaby, but that's what a troll is. I don't know. It feels like somebody coming in somewhere to troll is coming in somewhere with the express purpose of like causing chaos. And that's not what that person was doing. They were trying to be helpful in a way. They were just being helpful as a dick. And I don't want to deal with that. Okay, so now that we have all that, let's go back to our blueprint for our PC. Because what we're going to do, and we probably... yeah, no, let's make that in our BP PC. What we were going to do, once upon a time, before we got majorly sidetracked, is we were going to clear inventory. And then we're going to generate a handful of new cards. So we wanted to add a card. And I guess we make card slots. Card count will be 1. The rarity will be... Can we like random item from array? And then we can make an array for this. And then we... It's a little... fucked that's how that works. We probably should make a function that does this a little bit better, to be honest. Matter of fact, since this is... Oh, no, this is struct. What we probably should do is something that is weighted, right? So, like 50% of the time it's common, and then 25% of the time it's uncommon, and then 15% of the time, or like even 20% of the time, it's rare. This probably should be like 60, 25, 15, 5, 10, 5. Something that adds up to 100 anyway. So that the distribution isn't just exactly 1 to 1 to 1, because at that point, like, rare isn't rare. Rare is just a fancy call that's worth more. So, but we'll get to that at some point in the future. And then the card select. Okay, so this is where we actually get into something interesting, right? Because I want to be able to select a random card from a certain folder. So I think we have like an asset manager for that. I've never really worked too much with it. I know that they exist and how it works, kinda, but not too much. There's no point in continuing, and we already agreed you were wrong. Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Again, I Googled, found out that I am most likely wrong. I didn't find hard evidence that I'm wrong, to be very clear. I still could be right. I don't think I am, but I still could be. It seemed to lead more toward, hey, I was operating under a misconception myself, which it happens. Like, and at that point, it becomes clear whether or not somebody is trying to be helpful or be right. I don't know how to do this. I think we get primary asset ID list. I don't know how this works. You can get all Unreal, get all assets in folder. There is a way to do this. How to iterate through all assets in a folder without using the assets. Get all data assets in a primary data assets. Yeah, but they're all going to be from the same primary data asset. So, okay, I think what we need to do is we actually need to make a assets, like it's an asset manager, right? Manager. It's not an asset manager. Asset registry? Is it registry? Registry? No. Asset registry module. Maybe it's not a blueprint. Assets. How to add asset specific project folder, getting an array of all blueprints within a folder, getting assets that are in a current folder. I want to do it in blueprint because I made this a blueprint class. And everything is going C++. So I think this might be a C++ only thing. So that's going back to the initial question. Some things are just not possible in blueprint. And this might be one of them. Which makes a certain amount of sense. Get all nodes and so I think. Yeah, I think we might have to. Does anybody in chat have any IDs? Can't you just supply a card to add from the function? Okay, so I maybe didn't explain that very well. Again, I'm tired as hell. I can, right? I can just supply any of these, but what I want to do is I want to get the cards that exist in this basic back folder, and I just want to get a random one out of this. So what I want is I just want an array that contains all these, and I want to get a random entry from that array. Which I know is possible, I just don't know how to do it. Yes, asset registry, you can do it in BP. Registry, the event, in the event graph. Oh, can you only do it in the event graph, not in a function? Get asset registry. And then. Now I want to know, can I actually do this like in a function as well? Get assets registry. You can. Okay. That's fantastic, but like get assets. Get all assets. Just all of them. Okay. Get assets by path. That must be it. So we do that before the for loop. We don't want to be doing that like 10 times after each other, I don't think. Include only disk assets. I don't think so. Recursive, if true, supply path will be searched recursively. I don't think we need to do that. So can I like copy the path from this? Copy path. Random item from array. What does this do? Asset data structure. If we split this, this just gets me a bunch of names. How does that help me? I guess from there what we can do is we can get asset, right? So get assets by name or something like that. By package name. So then we do that. Just kind of figuring this out with you guys. Out asset data. Oh, that's multiple. Get assets. That's not no. Get asset by package name. Can we? Data table instead of assets. Get a random row maybe. Yeah, no, that would work. That would work. I could make a data table. I could just make an array, like in the game instance or something like that. But the wonderful thing about this would be is that if I just add something new to this folder, it'll just immediately be picked up by the code instead of me having to then just go add it in like another place as well. Downside is that it needs to be in that folder. You can also add data assets in the asset manager in the project settings. I watched a video about this like 5 months ago. What did you call it? Assets manager. Okay, so yeah, here we have the primary whatever. We can add specific assets. Okay, and we can also add directories in there. So what is the difference between that and the registry? I guess get asset like manager. Can we do something with that as well? I want to get the I want to get the asset as a just as an object. That's all I need. From there I can cast it. Which is fine. Get asset by object path. This gets me a return value, which just gets me the same fucking thing again. How do I get an object out of this though? Because it doesn't seem like I can. Does anybody have experience with this? This has nothing to do with 2D Unreal. This is just me not having done asset things through code first. Get ancestor class names. That's really fucking meta. Oh, that is possible then. Huh, that's kind of nice. I think for random I found a node called get asset which returns a U object. So get assets. Is it not from the asset registry then? Get assets? Oh. Okay, that is my bad. I was pulling off the asset registry. Apparently that's just a Gizmet function or something like that. Sure. Let's recombine them and we get a object out of it, which we can then cast to, what do we call it? Something like card asset, right? Card assets. There we go. And that will then be our make card slots, which will then add that card. So the idea, after all that bullshit, is that we will now generate 10 random cards in the inventory of this chest. On begin play when we add this. So let's test out whether or not this even works to begin with, because we might still have fucked up somewhere. We very likely did, knowing me. So there's a compiling error somewhere. What's the issue? Oh, base value doesn't do anything anymore. Yeah, that's fine. We'll replace that code with something at some point, I'm sure. Okay. Don't do shit! Fantastic. Does the inventory have... It has 8... It has 8 members? How does it have 8 members? What the fuck? It has 8 random cards though. It does do have, yeah. Card count is... Oh, that's actually kind of nice. Oh, it's got 8 because it generated the same... Generated the jack twice and the which one. It works even better than I thought it would. Which confused me. So yeah, this one's rare, this one's common. The code works, it just doesn't display. which is fair, actually, I think. Because the widget, I don't think is getting supplied the proper stuff. Because we have the chest begin play, right? So that's open inventory. I'm kind of surprised at open inventory. Oh, hold on. Did it open this one? No, it didn't open that one. Because if I walk up to this one, it will display, right? Yeah. It's got even a different... Oh, hold on. It's just opening my own inventory. It's not even opening that thing. Ah, that might be why. Hold on. Oh, because this thing doesn't... Okay, guys, help me real quick. If you implement an interface into a class, do the children not also just inherit that implementation? Like, we're going to need to override that anyway, but it doesn't seem like that's there. So we need to implement our interface again. Sure. Oh no, it does. Inherited interfaces. How can I overwrite that? Am I just missing it in the drop-down list here? Because it's not here anymore. And I'm also not seeing it in here. So can I just open... There it is, open inventory right there. Oh, it just doesn't have the... Ignore me. Ignore me. The reason that I was confused is because it doesn't have the gear icon. For now, we're just going to make it do the exact same thing. And it should generate 10 random cards. And so it does. So we've got 10 random cards in here. Fantastic. With different rarities. That all works. And then if we ignore that, we'll look into that in a moment. And then if we start the game again, it will have different random cards. So that works. That only took us 2 hours. It's fucking hell. It will move to the function or event list once implemented. Yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Make sure it's all safe before your computer blows up. That's a good point. That's the wonderful part about C++ as well. You don't get to like work on something for an hour and then not auto-save, because it's just a text file that automatically like saves whenever you make changes. The amount of times I've had blueprints blow up and lose me an hour of work, which then is reproducible in like 20 minutes usually, but still, is also really annoying. But that means we effectively have our PC shopping system. So I think what I want to do is I want to break free. Now, I want to start with the economy system. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to make a game mode class for that. Which is not ideal, but it is the way that we're going to do it. And if anybody has problems with that, if you legitimately have a better idea, please do tell me. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a game mode, which we'll call TCG Tycoon GM. And that game mode is going to have a map. Okay, this might be a problem. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that might be something I need to look into. Okay, so maybe data assets aren't as bullshit as structs. Actually, surely they aren't. Surely that's fine. Surely that's fine. Okay, so the idea, let's try to not get distracted, is going to have a map of all of the potential available cards in the game as the keys. And then, what is that? You see? No, I don't think that works. The idea I had is we make a T-map of what is the prefix again? I always forget. U. U card asset. Add include. Oh, it prompts me to add the include. Holy shit. Pointer. Which will be the card. And then we also have, what the fuck? What's the issue? It's probably because it needs the include. Oh, we just added the include. I don't know. And then we also have the float for the value in here, right? Oh, it needs to have a name. Oh, you don't need the name. Thank you. Thank you. So this was the idea. We have the card assets with a float. And that's just going to have a fucking massive list of all of the cards with their current value. And that current value can fluctuate. We can easily save that into a save object, which is just going to be a long array of floats. But we don't even need to save this as a map, right? We can just save this as a long array of floats because they're always going to be in this map. Like, this is not an unordered map, is it? Sortable map base. I think this will be, that's worth looking into. I think it is ordered. So that should be fine. So we can just load them back in when we load the game. But what I'm thinking right now is, do I just want to give like a blanket X percentage boost to the value when something is uncommon, rare, or legendary? Or do I want those to have their own fluctuation as well? Because if I want them to have their own fluctuation, we're going to get back into this idea that we need this to be a F card slot. So that I can set values for each combination of card and rarity. I'm going to be real with you. I don't really feel like doing this. So I'm going to just give specific percentage value increases to each and every rarity. Because otherwise this is going to be like, first and foremost, it's going to be a nightmare to make this array because I need to add these by hand. I probably can get some like tool script to do it, but anyway. It would be a lot more fun. It would be more, I don't know if it's realistic, but it would be kind of more fun to have these different rarities maybe like have slightly different dynamics in their value, where you can sometimes even like have a rare card that is more valuable than a legendary card. Like that kind of weird stuff would be fun. I don't know if it's fun enough for the headache that I'm gonna get trying to code that. So let's just do it like this. The thing is, this is one of those things where I'm like, if I do it this way, I'm not changing it afterwards. Because if I want to change this afterwards, it's going to be... My god. There's going to be even more work. So, I don't want to do that. Let's call this card values, actually. I think that's the way we're going to do it. So in the card asset, let's make a function real quick. Which will... get real value. Which will return a float. And in that, what we will do is we will take in a E rarity. It's not an E, is it? Oh no, it is. It is E card rarity. Is that something that we want to do on the card asset though? Or is that something that we want to do on the... Yeah, it probably is. Okay, let's implement this real quick. First and foremost, so we go to implement the definition for it. So the reason that I'm thinking this is we need to definitely, first and foremost, start including the game mode here. And then we also need to include the gameplay statics Gizmod library. So that would be Gizmod gameplay statics. I want to get the gameplay statics, get game mode, and we're going to be casting that. Oh no, we're casting. To the DCG game mode, which is always going to be the case. Should just be... No, this doesn't even have a begin play. Does it have it like in it or something like that? Because this is an asset, so it's not instantiated. Well, it is, but not in game. So it doesn't even have a begin play, so we do need to do this every single time. Is C++ cast identical to blueprint cast? Did I misspell Unreal Engine in the thumbnail? Goes to show you how fucking cooked I am today. Effectively, C++ casts and blueprint casts are the same. Yeah. There might be a slight cost difference. I don't know. But both of them don't cost that much. Like, the cost of casting is the fact that you need to do this include. Because it now creates, like, that hard reference. Oh, we need to get game mode of, like... World context object, right? Yeah, get game mode of this. And then... What else do we need? Player index? No, just this. Oh, no, hold on. Ooh. That's gonna be an issue, isn't it? I just realized that is an issue. because this doesn't exist in that world. So, ooh. Yeah, that might be. Like, can we get player pawn? Gameplay statics. Get player pawn. That also needs a world context object, doesn't it? Oh, that is a fucking problem. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay, so we'll do this differently. We'll just make this entire thing inside the game mode. Sure. U function blueprint callable. No, this bothers me. I want to know how that how this works. Unreal C++ data assets world context objects. Anybody run into this before? Let's actually hold on. Let's see if Copilot has any IDs for this. So get game mode as TCG Tycoon game mode. I don't think this is gonna work because this doesn't exist in the world. But you know what? It's worth a shot, because if it works, I have something to research. Okay, so from there we go game mode. Cards value, what do we call it? Card values, but that should be in public. Card values dots find. This, right? And that gets you the inline value type, which in this case is a float. So we float current value. Misspelled that. It's also that's a float pointer. It's fine. Switch. Switch on rarity. Case. Common. Case. Uncommon. We do 50% more. That's exactly what I want. Thank you so much, Copilot. 2 times, sure. These are values that we can tweak. E-card rarity, legendary, 3 times. That is what I was gonna do. So, to be fair, that's good. And then we'll put in a case like default, right? Or is that not a case? Is that just default? Cafe? What? I think my brain wants caffeine, but I'm not going to give it anything. Oh, it's just default. We return current value as well. Shouldn't be needed because we're switching on an enum, and these are the only values that it can have, but, you know, that'll be safe and sorry. I usually add player controller to do that. Yeah, no, but the issue is that even even if I want to like get player pawn, I also need a world context object to do that. So I don't know if this will work, but I'm hoping that it will. So now we build again. We've got get real value. We've got this. Oh, this needs to be a U property actually. U property edit. Maybe add a default only. Blueprint. Read write. Probably going to do all this in game mode, but who knows. Let's build. So anyway, how are you guys doing today? Because as you can see, my brain is thoroughly looking forward to the weekend. This is the first weekend in like a month and something that I don't actually have a bunch of shit to do. Don't have any podcasts to edit, don't have any last minute devlogs to edit. I can just relax, maybe do a little bit of game dev if I want to. Edit a couple of videos, like a slow pace, and just kind of chill. It's like legitimately the first time in a month. I'm kind of looking forward to it. So, anybody else got any interesting weekend plans going on? And before anybody else, no, I'm not going to be streaming this weekend because of it. I don't want to die. TCG Tycoon game mode. We'll get a blueprint. TCG Tycoon game mode as well. And we'll set that one as the project default game mode. So we have got the... Oh, we already had a default game mode. Does it have anything in it? Oh, it has a player pawn in it. Okay, yeah. So we'll just take this then. Whatever we just made. You can go bye-bye. And we just change in the class settings to TCG Tycoon game mode. That shouldn't cause any loss of stuff. Yeah, test player, which we really should rename as well. Okay, so now that we have that, we can open in Blueprint Editor and we have the map in here, so the card values, and this is where we get Assassin. Base value 10. Fucking Dragon. Base value 7. And we can now just kind of put in a timer that every 90 seconds modifies this base value. And there we have it. So I now need to add a bunch of these one by one. And that's gonna suck. I don't know if there is a... I cannot have duplicate keys. I don't know if there is a better way to add like a bunch of assets to this. There has to be, because this is like already really tedious. Like I'll have to give them values manually anyway. Before anybody says use a data table, because somebody in chat might have already said that, data tables are read only. There is a plugin on the marketplace that makes them or makes a data table type that you can write to as well, which is essentially just this with structs, I think. So wouldn't really save me that much, I don't think. But God, does this suck. Yeah, I'm going to need to find, like, even for the 100 or so cards that we're going to end up making, I'm going to need to find a way that is better to add these, because holy hell, this is, like, horrible. Matter of fact, let's just do that. because we can just make a add. This is the issue, right? Because I'm looking at how to add items to an array, and now I get like a bunch of tutorials who are like, this is how you add an item to an array. I know how to add an item to an array. I just need to do it on the class default, not on an instance. That is a tricky part. But I think I'm back again, so maybe we can wrap this up before my internet dies. Adding array elements with default values. That is not exactly what I want, I don't think. Like, I guess maybe in the construction scripts? Oh, I think I have an idea as to how I could do it. I could do it through C++ in the constructor. Probably. Hey! You guys miss me?